Please welcome Julianna Margulies and Piera Gelardi.
Thank you. Okay. So, Julianna, you first came into my orbit when you played Nurse Carol on ER, which was a show that I used to watch religiously with my mom and loved. And I was always really impressed, following your career and seeing your dedication to your own artistic growth and continuing to, create and play characters that really push stereotypes away. So Judith Butler has a theory of gender as performance. And your show, The Good Wife, seems to really personify that theory, with each of the supporting women characters kind of playing to a different type. Mm-hmm. Except that the twist is that they know it and they play into it. So whether that's sexy, ditzy, motherly. And I think the one person that really got to embrace all of those was your character. And really, it's one of the most complex and real characters on TV. So do you feel like your character of Alicia Florrick challenged those stereotypes, shattered stereotypes?
Yeah, I think she grew into it. What I loved about her, playing her, was growing with her as a woman.
Yeah.
Because I think she was a stereotype when you first meet her, and that got shattered for her because she had to sink or swim. So she suddenly had to become a different person, and she didn't know she had that in her.
Yeah.
So I think what I loved about the reaction I would get to her was, first of all, women can't do everything. And you just can't. You can't make all the money for the house. You can't take care of the kids and have a social life. You just can't do everything 100%. And I think for Alicia, she realized that she could do one thing really well, which was be a lawyer and fight for justice. And she could do her best at being a mother and impart the most knowledge that she could give to her children. And then she suddenly realized, wait a minute, I lost my sexuality. And you'd sort of notice we were very specific with how her clothing progressed over the course of the 7 years, because she needed to have sex and feel sexy and feel like a woman and enjoy her life too. So I hope that she somehow showed women that it's okay to fail at some things and succeed at others, but if you do it all truthfully and honestly and with 100%, that somehow you'll succeed at something.
Yeah, I think it was such an amazing, complex character and I think we need to see those examples, because I think we all tend to kind of take on imposter syndrome or think that we have to be absolutely phenomenal at every single aspect of life. And to see a character, work towards these things, but fail with,
Yeah,
with
she was
strength.
Flawed. I mean, and I think that's, she definitely was trying to be the good girl all the time. That's who she was brought up to be. And then she grew up to realize it's okay to be flawed. We all are.
Yeah. So your new show, Dietland, which premieres June 4th, and I'm so excited to see, is everybody tune in. So it's a dark comedy about multiple issues that women face, including patriarchy, misogyny, rape, and unrealistic body image. So a lot of timely topics for
Covers
today.
a lot, yeah.
Covers a lot of ground. And so what was it about this show that really made you want to take it on as a project?
All of it. Everything about it, honestly. I mean, first of all, I think it's important to remember this book. The book it's based on came out in 2014, and it was a bestseller. And it was sort of about women taking their power back and being able to see the world through an obese woman's eyes, and how the world sees her and she views the world. And she's constantly thinking that her life will start once she gets her surgery that will enable her to be a size 6. Then she'll start her life. And I had never seen anything written like that. And then the At Me Too movement happened in October. We were already getting the scripts in August. And we suddenly realized, oh my God, this is so timely. The backdrop of this character, played by Joy Nash so beautifully, is also that there's a sort of vigilante movement. These women start taking the law into their own hands, and men who are accused of rape but not convicted start literally falling out of the sky dead. And then the Harvey Weinstein story broke, and we all went, holy shit. We better push up our air date, which we did. And these women start, you don't find out who they are, but it's a vigilante movement, and they're called Jennifer. And every time a man is found dead in the autopsy, this little note comes out that says Jennifer. And I was reading this, and I thought, oh my God, this is fabulous. This is every woman's fantasy. On top of which I get to play the most hateful character, which I never get to play. At the same time, I play the editor of a teen magazine. And what's fascinating to me about her, she's cutthroat, she's such a narcissist, she has no moral compass whatsoever. But when she walks into the boardroom, it's her and 6 white men over 60, telling her what she can put in her magazine for teen girls. And so you know, it's so complex, and you realize why she has become what she's become a bit. Because she has had to do it backwards and in high heels, like Ginger Rogers. You know, everything she's worked for, she's had to work doubly hard, as any man, just to prove herself. And I loved that about her.
Yeah. And she has like a lot of amazing lines, and one of the lines that she has in the show is, "Men would rather destroy the world than let us rule it." Yeah, wow.
I got to say that. I got paid to say that.
So is that something that you believe personally?
I think the 2016 election has proven that to be fact. I mean, it felt great to say it, but it scares me to death. And I always go back to this book that I read years ago called Pope Joan, which was about a young girl who was really smart and listened in on her brother's classes because women weren't, in 800 AD, girls weren't educated, and she was brilliant. And she ended up shaving her head and changing, putting on monk's robes, and she ended up being the Pope because she understood medicine and she understood what morals were and what values were, and people heralded him as a great doctor until they found out it was a woman, and then she was killed. And so I always go back to that story, which some people will argue it never happened, and then there's things about it that absolutely ring true. But I go back to, you know, the midwives that were burned at the stake.
Yeah.
Why? Because they understood herbs and how to help a woman not be in pain while giving birth, but they were considered witches. I mean, it goes back that far, you know? Mm-hmm. And wasn't it Margaret Atwood that just said, it's 4,000 years, it's enough. So I feel like, yes, that line that was written, and even though it's satire, 100% true.
Yeah.
And we need to raise our voices to stop it. And I think we're doing that.
I agree.
Yeah.
So as a producer, you on The Good Wife, and as you continue to be a producer, how do you think about those narratives that you want to elevate, and those stories that really need to come to the surface, that are important for you to tell?
I think there's a blessing and a curse of being an actor on a show and a producer. The blessing is you have more control. The curse is that every actor on set goes to you first with complaints, which can be a little daunting. I like to be able to control the content as much as I can and to be a collaborative voice.
Yeah.
And I also think for an actor to be a producer, producers don't know what it's like to be in an actor's shoes. So I would see things on the set that were happening that I knew needed to change, and only I would be able to see that because I was the actor there 14 hours a day.
I'm thinking that's kind of like, how your character in Dietland knows how to make a magazine for women, whereas like the 60-year-old men in the boardroom probably
Right.
don't know what that's all about.
Yeah, you need to see it from an actor's point of view.
Yeah.
I say that about actors who want to direct. It's never been my wish, but I love working with actors who want to direct because they know what it's like to be an actor.
Yeah.
And so when they direct you, they direct with so much more compassion and empathy.
Great. Well,
Most of
we're
the time.
so excited to see what you produce next. And thank you so much for continuing to shatter stereotypes and tell the stories that need to be told.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.